The Iron Horse Tavern was the loudest place in the county every Friday night. Motorcycles lined the parking lot. Country music blasted through old speakers. Pool balls cracked across green tables, while laughter mixed with the smell of grilled burgers and whiskey. In the middle of all the noise worked Grace Carter. She was 34 years old, a quiet waitress who never asked for attention. She wore faded blue jeans, a white button-up shirt, and a black apron. She smiled politely, worked quickly, and went home without speaking much to anyone. To the regular customers, Grace was simply the quiet waitress. Nobody knew she had once worn a Marine uniform. Nobody knew she had spent 2 tours overseas. Nobody knew she still woke up from nightmares that reminded her of people she couldn't save. She never spoke about those years. Some memories weren't meant to become conversations. If you enjoy emotional stories about hidden heroes, courage, and unforgettable life lessons, subscribe to Bloodline Revenge Stories, like this video, and share it with someone who believes kindness still matters. Around 9 o'clock, 6 motorcycles pulled into the parking lot. The engines roared loud enough to shake the windows. A group of leather-clad bikers walked inside laughing loudly. Their leader, Rick, was a tall man covered in tattoos with a voice that demanded attention wherever he went. He slapped the counter. 6 beers. Grace nodded politely. I'll bring them right over. Rick watched her walk away. She doesn't smile much. Another biker laughed. Maybe she forgot how. The table erupted with laughter. Grace ignored them. Years earlier, she had learned that not every insult deserved an answer. As the night continued, the jokes became crueler. They whistled, mocked her quiet personality, questioned whether she even belonged working there. Still, she remained calm. Near closing time, Grace carried a tray filled with drinks. Rick deliberately stretched out his boot. Grace stumbled. The glasses crashed the floor. Beers spread across the wooden boards. The entire bar turned to look. Rick burst into laughter. Maybe you're in the wrong profession. Grace quietly knelt and began picking up the broken glass. The bartender hurried toward her. I'll get it. Grace smiled softly. I've got it. As she reached for another piece of glass, Rick grabbed the silver chain hanging around her neck. He yanked it. The chain snapped. Something metallic slid across the floor. The room became silent. It wasn't jewelry. It was a military dog tag. Attached to it was a bronze star medal. Grace slowly picked them up. She wiped away the dust. Her hands trembled ever so slightly. Not from fear, from memory. An elderly man sitting alone at the end of the bar slowly stood up. His cane tapped against the wooden floor. He stared at the medal, then at Grace. His eyes widened. Marine! Grace hesitated before quietly answering. Yes, sir. The old man straightened his back. Without another word, he raised his trembling hand into a respectful salute. Grace immediately returned the salute. Every conversation inside the tavern stopped. The elderly man turned toward the bikers. You boys have any idea who you've been insulting? No one answered. I served in Vietnam. I know that medal. You don't receive it for showing up. You earn it by protecting others when your own life is on the line. Rick's confidence disappeared. He looked back at Grace. What happened? Grace looked down at the medal, then quietly replied, I lost 3 friends during my 2nd deployment. They made it possible for the rest of us to come home. I wear this to remember them. The room fell completely silent. Nobody laughed anymore. One customer quietly removed his baseball cap, then another. Soon the entire bar stood in respectful silence. Rick slowly walked toward Grace. For the first time that night, there wasn't an ounce of arrogance left in his face. I'm sorry. I thought. Grace gently interrupted him. It doesn't matter what you thought. It matters what you choose after today. Rick lowered his eyes. He bent down, picked up every remaining piece of broken glass, then quietly apologized to the bartender for the damage his group had caused. Before leaving, he placed enough money on the counter to cover every broken glass and every customer's meal that evening. At the door, he turned back toward Grace. Thank you. She smiled gently. Take care of yourself. Months later, Rick returned, this time alone. Sober, he wasn't there to drink. He had brought a donation for a local veteran support center after learning how many former service members struggled in silence. Grace accepted the envelope, not because of the money, but because someone had chosen to become better. People often think courage is loud. They imagine shouting, fighting, winning. But the strongest people are often the quiet ones, the ones carrying invisible scars, the ones who continue showing kindness even after life has tested them beyond imagination. Grace never wanted to be called a hero. She simply wanted to live peacefully. Yet one ordinary night reminded an entire room that you can never know what battle someone has already survived. Sometimes, the strongest person in the room is the one who never needs to prove it.